Good evening, afternoon, night, everybody out there in Biscuits and SEC land. Welcome back for another week of Biscuits and SEC Live. We got a good show for you tonight. Kind of all over the map, it feels like, with a lot of topics of interest, but nothing like the Super League that will kind of dominate half of the show. So we got a bunch of stuff to get to. We got a packed show. Boss man, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of off-the-wall news that we've gotten over the last, feels like 72 hours. So a lot of that to discuss tonight. Looking forward to it. I'm channeling my inner Larry the Cable Guy tonight. Look, it's getting warm here in Austin right now, and look, this is my shirt right now, okay? Luka Doncic in the Mavs jersey. When am I ever going to wear this other than mowing my lawn now? And so figured I'd just cut off the sleeves and give everybody tonight a gun show. Look, I work from home, so this is like my uniform now. And didn't really have time to change, so here we are. Gun show for the people tonight.
Love that. Well, similar to my infamous Fu Manchu that I don't know that I ever actually fully had it on the show before the beard grew back in, but I know there's been pictures of it, and I made a bet with our SEC After Dark friends that sort of a weird bet where it was if what I wanted to happen happened, I had to shave the Fu Manchu back. But if A&M had beat Texas, I was going to get the Fu Manchu back and, do a couple shows with it. So I think maybe this can be your thing. Whenever anything good happens for you, you can just show up with a sleeveless shirt on the next live show.
Well, maybe that can become a thing. I'm just giving it away for free tonight. So we didn't need a bet. We didn't need anything. I just brought out, I was feeling Larry the Cable Guy. Like I said, it's hot out here in Austin. So you might be a redneck if.
You just might. But yes, I mean, RIP to the Luka Doncic Mavericks era. So I don't blame you. That shirt has no place anywhere anymore other than, as a, home improvement type of shirt that you get dirty and dusty and you don't care about.
That's right. Rest in peace, Luka Doncic and the Mavs. Fire Nico Harrison forever, even though he's already been fired.
Correct. Anywho, before we get into it, you see the link below. You know what I'm going to say. Sign up for the newsletter. We had a pretty beefy one today going over the Brendan Sorsby saga, the NFL draft that the SEC absolutely draft picked, mogged, and draft maxed all the other conferences on. I think I'm doing that right. So Gen Z or Gen Alpha, whoever's into that stuff, comment below, hit me up, let me know if I'm doing that right, if Unk here is doing that right. But the SEC was draft mogging everybody with 87 picks. Anyway, we had a beefy newsletter with all that. We talked baseball, a good article in there from Bruce Feldman that we linked to about how the NFL is doesn't like the transfer portal and the talent evaluators at the next level don't like it. So that was an interesting read. And then, of course, the always popular fun you may have missed section where we just compile things that made us laugh throughout the week, whether they're college sports related or not, and put them in the newsletter so everybody can have a laugh. So sign up for that if you haven't. Link is down below. Just go to our website. It's worth your time. Comes out every Wednesday during the off season, and then during the season we crank it up to twice a week, Monday and Friday. But for the next couple months, as we are getting close to the season coming back, it'll be out on Wednesdays. So I think we got to start with the Sorsby news because although it's not specifically SEC related, this is a really big story. I think for a lot of different reasons, but at least we can start with just kind of on the field reasons. I mean, Sorsby was one of, if not the top player in the transfer portal, depending on what service you were looking at this offseason. Reports that I read throughout this whole saga is that they're paying or were planning to pay, however this works in NIL these days, $5 million at least for this season. And the bombshell breaks on Monday that he's entering a treatment facility for a gambling addiction. He's leaving indefinite leave of absence from the program, and the NCAA is investigating his gambling habits. So just, right off the bat, just give me your thoughts on the whole situation. And like I said, I think there's a lot of tentacles here. So feel free to take it where you would like.
I mean, first of all, it's unfortunate. Like, I wanted to see Brendan Sorsby in Lubbock playing this year, right? Like, it sucks just first and foremost, because I would have liked to see him playing for Texas Tech this year and chasing another college football playoff berth. It's not great for Texas Tech either. Now they are in, I mean, what are they going to do? They have some backup quarterback, right, that people are talking about, but nobody knows who this kid is. Brendan Sorsby was obviously the starter. They were going to be in trouble if he got hurt or something this year. Now they're in a world of hurt. I mean, I guess it's good that this happens now so that you get kind of, summer a little bit, and then going into fall camp, you get some time. Hey, he's going to be the starter, right? You got to help me too with some of the details of this. I read into it as much as I could, but it seems like Sorsby was betting on Cincinnati games. Is that correct? Kind of like, is there something in the water in Cincinnati? I mean, the Pete Rose, Brendan Sorsby.
So I believe it was Indiana games when he was on Indiana's roster. I don't think he was betting on Cincinnati games last season.
Okay.
And just to answer this question real quick from Mike, I think the biggest difference here, and I guess we'll see when this comes out, if I remember the gambling money line material, it was Venmo transactions. This is
way less.
This is direct apps linked, or apps, accounts on apps with extensive betting history, like 10,000 plus bets linked directly to Sorsby. So
and I think $10,000+ linked, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I mean, it's got to be. Yeah. I mean, if he's betting over 10,000 times, he's got to have more money than that.
Yeah. I think I read that somewhere too, that it was, it was $10,000+ dollars. So that's a good amount of money, especially even, I know they're getting paid now, but even for, an underclassman in college. And we've talked about this before, and I know that when we had Ellie Williamson on, we were talking about this.
Yeah.
The proliferation of sports betting is kind of a problem. It really is. I mean, the whole, we've got these apps on all of our phones where we can just constantly bet. And there's always the disclaimer, just like an alcohol ad or, smoking used to be or whatever, of, hey, call 1-800, I'm addicted to gambling if you have a problem. But who does that? Like, not many people do that, right? But they have to do that based on the law. And the proliferation of it has, and now it's seeped into, it's kind of odd. I mean, I saw somebody point this out. It's like On3 in every show, on everything that they do, is promoting gambling. And then you turn around on the other side and they're reporting on players who are getting popped for gambling and for gambling on their team, the team that they're on, or what have you, right? And it's just, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of gone too far on this, to be frank with you. I mean, we don't have a gambling sponsor here. I'm not saying we would never take one, but I like to think that we would be a little bit smarter about it. It's just, and this is, we've talked about this before too. It's been a couple years, but this was what was going to happen. Like, this is downstream from this just proliferation of sports gambling being ubiquitous and at the touch of a hat, is that eventually this is going to become something where we have issues within the game itself with players who are making these bets all the time, betting big money, betting on their own team, betting on, with inside information about other teams. Like, it's definitely an issue. And this is not going to stop, by the way. This is one of the bigger ones that we have seen thus far, but it's not going to stop.
No. And he's not, this is just a good comment from our buddy Mike. But yeah, I mean, I saw somebody, who knows who it was. It was a just random tweet, but it was basically like, kind of what you said, like Sorsby and whatever evidence they have against him, like he is by far, or he is far from alone in this amongst current college players. Like there are other college players that are doing the same thing, if not worse, perhaps with the exception of betting on your own team. But there are other kids in college right now, college athletes included, who are betting this frequently, throwing around this kind of money, because it is, it's too easily accessible anymore. And look, I mean, I agree with you personally speaking. I think it's gone too far, but I also, like you said, like we don't have a gambling sponsor. If we did, I'm sure we would take the money, because we also talk about it on here. I like the gambling lines because I think it makes the games really interesting. I personally am not putting any money on it. That's my, personal decision, because frankly, because I've done it in the past and I'm terrible at it. And so it's just, it's a way to protect my wallet, but it is a little alarming, I think, especially now. Look, I guess I'm Unc. I said it earlier in the show. We're a lot older than these kids. Like if you're in college and you're 18 and you're handed an NIL check for 7 figures, I mean, it's not hard to bypass whatever garbage, phony, 21 and up only safeguards these businesses have and get an account and start throwing serious money around. And I do think this stuff is addicting, as evidenced, as like you said, by, just people that have gone through it. And then the fact that they have to say it every single time. It's not as simple as, don't do this for some people, because they literally, can't stop. So I don't know what the right answer here is, in terms of, because we're not putting the genie back in the hat. So the way I come at this is just like, it is in some ways a shame that gambling has become so much, the focus almost of sports anymore. But also, if you're involved, man, you just can't gamble. Like it's that simple. It is that simple. Especially now, again, when you talk about the money that's being thrown around, like, dude, this guy has probably made well over $1 million in his career already. And he was on pace or schedule to make 5 this year. And you're gambling like at all. Again, irregardless of whether you're gambling on college football or your own team at all, when the NCAA doesn't like it. Like, what are you doing? I don't care.
Why risk it? I mean, this goes back to like kids these are still kids, some of them are not. They're 22, 23-year-old men at this point, but you are still talking about young men. So 18 to 22-year-old kids, 22, 23-year-old, men, they're going to make stupid decisions. We've talked about this all the time. Like there's a lot of stupid decisions that get made, right? It depends on what the program. Some of them have stereotypes, right? I mean, everybody in Athens is speeding, but they're still young men and they're going to make dumb decisions because, I mean, yes, just sit down and think about it for 2 seconds. If Texas, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the transfer portal. He's potentially getting paid, reportedly getting paid $5 million from Texas Tech. Put the phone down, brother. What are we doing? Like, why do you even have the FanDuel app? Why do you have the XYZ gambling app? What are we? Why? Don't do it, man. It's not worth it. $5 million, dude. You're leaving on the table. And I guarantee you now, which to confirm it, he is done, right? He is not going to play this year. Is that what it's looking like? At least right now, although there's kind of he's got a lawyer and we'll see, but it doesn't look good.
We will see. It doesn't look good. And there's precedent here. There was an Iowa State quarterback in 2023, if you remember that story.
Yes.
Hunter Deckers, who was banned for life. He lost whatever eligibility he had. And that was similar because he had bet on Iowa State games. Yeah. Not that he played in, but he had bet on his own team. Sorsby, it appears, what's being reported, there's evidence that he has done that from his time as a freshman on Indiana's team. And so, yes, I would think he is done, I believe.
And why, yes, man, so dumb, so utterly dumb. But also, if you want to bet, man, dude, bet on the NFL, bet on the NBA, bet on the MLB. Why are you betting on college football? Just don't even touch it, man. You shouldn't touch it, period. But if you're going to bet on something that you have nothing to do with and you're not part of, However, the trouble with that is he probably bet on college football because that's what he knows the most about, right? Like the incentive and the pull is really there to do that, to make a quick buck. And I mean, if he as a freshman in Indiana, I don't think he made next to nothing. If anything, I don't even know if NIL was there when he was at freshman.
I mean, it was there in theory, but he probably didn't make anything. I mean, he redshirted. He didn't play.
Right.
And to be clear, the issue here to me, like you said, maybe go bet on the NFL. That is still against the NCAA bylaws. If you recall last,
yes,
it's all which again, and I think that's a good thing because if you recall last year, they voted to allow NCAA athletes to bet on leagues that were not, whatever they participate in. And then Sankey and some other people said, no, this is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Don't allow this. And they backtracked. So all that is still not allowed by the NCAA. And that, to some people maybe is a step too far, like you said, of like, hey, go bet on the NFL. You have no inside knowledge of it. Or go bet on MLB, which he did. Apparently he was betting on balls and strikes. That's how into it he was. He was at a Cincinnati Red game betting on balls and strikes. But that's technically still against the bylaws, which again just takes you back to, man, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I know again, like he clearly has a problem. I hope he gets the help he needs and he, rids himself of this habit. But this is something that hopefully this is a wake-up call for people that, like you brought up, dumb kids are going to make dumb decisions. Yes. But now this is like high school coaches. And certainly when you are recruiting kids and when they set foot on your campus, this is an emphasis. Do not do this. Don't download the app because maybe you will get addicted, but you can't get addicted if you never, you can't be an alcoholic if you never drink. So you can't become addicted to gambling if you don't download all these apps. And that would be I'm sure these schools have this policy, but they have to kind of step their game up, in my opinion, not through any fault of their own, but just because this is going to keep happening unless they do. And you just say, like, I don't know how you police it, but just like zero tolerance. This will not happen. If we're recruiting you, we're looking up your possible usernames on all these. If we're transfer portaling you, we're looking up possible usernames. And if you're on there, we're not interested. We're not interested at all because it's not worth it for us. And you are only going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's right. He's taken over. You mentioned Moneyline Mateer early in the show because Mike Huseman, our friend from Offseason After Dark, was mentioning it. I think this is very different. It was a couple Venmo transactions. The evidence of betting was pretty thin on that, whereas there's a ton of evidence, I think, here. So I think here, Brennan, I used to call him Blackjack Mateer. Blackjack right. John Mateer. So I think we can safely say that Brendan Sorsby has taken over that mantle. It's Blackjack Sorsby now. So my question here too, there's speculation right now that one of the interesting rumors I think that has come out of this is that fellow Big 12 member and former team of Brendan Sorsby, Cincinnati, may have had an inkling about this and might have known about this and may have given some information or let it trickle to the right sources in order for this to happen. And so I think that's fascinating if that's true. I think that's just kind of an underground rumor at this point. I don't know what the truth of the matter is there, but it is interesting. I mean, truthfully, look, you kind of got to get in the gutter. If I'm Cincinnati, that is exactly what I would have done. Like, screw them, screw Texas Tech. We're trying to win. We have information that this kid who turned his back on us and left and went to Texas Tech, like, we're going to take it out.
Yeah, and that's where it could get real messy because you're right. So Matt Hayes of USA Today reported this, that Cincinnati was aware of this. He said before the last season, which would then entrap Cincinnati in, negligence, basically, of like, hey, we knew about this and we didn't report it.
Vacated wins.
Possibly. But again, to make matters even more messy, Cincinnati is suing Sorsby over NIL buyout money that they believe they're owed. It's like $1 million. So again, like you said, maybe they did leak this because they want their money.
Yeah, if you're not going to pay us, then we're going to figure something else out. We've got some dirt on you. Pretty surprising that you're not going to pay us back, considering we know what we know.
Yeah.
This is like you're telling us too. Texas Tech knew about the reports when they signed him, and they said so. So also can't have any sympathy for Texas Tech in that case. Like, you guys took the risk. You knew. I also saw somebody tweet this earlier about it was like Josh Heupel, because they went after Brendan Sorsby, of course. I mean, it wasn't just Josh Heupel, many others.
LSU,
Tennessee. So, it was like Josh Heupel wiping the sweat off his brow, like, whew, man, just missed all this racket.
Man, I know. Well, yeah, I guess to close it out, we don't need to be on our soapbox too much longer. And again, we do hope that Sorsby gets the help that he needs. I would not expect him to play another down of college football. And in terms of his NFL future, talent-wise, I think he's got, plenty of juice, but I don't know how NFL teams feel about this. So we'll see. But what makes this real interesting, as we brought up at the outset to close it, is Texas Tech is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now because there's no spring portal. At this point, there are at least consequences for accepting a ghost portal player. So it's unlikely that Texas Tech would try to go that route if they even could, if there's even a guy out there. You keep seeing the fake Dylan Raiola reports, right? They're parody accounts saying, oh, Dylan Raiola's going there. But like, let's say that did happen. I mean, I just don't think they would do it because at this point, I believe if you do that, your coach gets suspended for half the season. So I don't think Joey McGuire is going to sit out 6 games in order to get Dylan Raiola, who just broke his leg in December.
Can I make a quick prediction here?
Yeah.
I think Texas Tech is going to do what we are seeing in college basketball. Why not go after somebody from the CFL or the UFL who has not necessarily played in the NFL? Right? Or maybe was on a practice squad or whatever, who left when they were a junior, okay, or has some sort of potential eligibility left. I am making a prediction right here. I will put it down. Texas Tech, they can't go after the ghost portal thing. We all know that. There's big penalties that will be levied by the NCAA if that happens. And so it seems like that's off the table. But I bet you, with all the money Texas Tech has, with wanting to follow it up with another playoff run this year, which is what they were expecting when they got Brendan Sorsby in the portal, I bet you right now, using betting right now.
Yeah,
that's rich. I bet you right now that Texas Tech goes after somebody from the UFL or from the CFL who had some eligibility left to try to get them down to Lubbock, because right now they're between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, that would be a funny exercise to see who would fit that mold. Because I said Diego Pavia, but he is out of eligibility and just signed a NFL contract, so he would, I think, not fit that. So anyway,
I don't even know if it works, but it's worth a shot, right? Texas A&M just got another kid in basketball. They signed some kid who played for like the Knicks and a couple others. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. We saw Bediako with Alabama get struck down last year. So, it might be dubious, but if I'm Texas Tech, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I could see them trying it for sure. Well, let's move on. You wanted to talk a little bit about this, so I'll kind of let you lead. But Sankey was making some comments about the college football playoffs, specifically the top seeds, like getting to kind of choose their own adventure, choose their own path. So walk me through this. I think he was talking about this on Feinbaum earlier today.
Yeah, I had not heard this. I've been following it pretty closely, what has come out of the college football playoff meetings, which happened last week. I believe they were in Dallas. Usually they're in Dallas. But there's these different changes that are potentially going to come out. We're watching it closely, as we've discussed on the show before. 2014 playoff is kind of being discussed. The Big Ten has been floating that. The SEC has been pushing back on that. Are we going to 24? Are we going to 16? Is it going to change at all in going into 27? And we've missed the window for 26. So 26 will stay at 12. But moving forward, what is that going to look like? And these conversations are taking place at these meetings. So we've been watching it closely. This was a wrinkle that I had not heard yet. There has been discussion in the last 2 years of the 12-team playoff and how the number one seed actually kind of is at a disadvantage to some degree, right? With the way that it kind of shakes out. Now, it's not, not totally that way, but it kind of, it's not the best for the number one seed. The number one seed should maybe have more of an advantage than they get at this point. And so Greg Sankey went on Paul Feinbaum today. He was at these meetings for the college football playoff, of course, as the commissioner of the SEC. And he said that there will be a tweak to this year's college football playoff in 26, that the number one seed and then also the number two seed behind them will get the chance to kind of choose your own adventure, meaning that they will get to choose the venue in which they go. So the bowls will be set, but they will get to choose which one they want to go to play whoever they have to play based on the bracket, is essentially what I gathered. So I have the clip of him on Feinbaum. I want to play it. It's about a minute here, so we'll go through it. He goes through a couple other things, but eventually he gets to what I'm talking about. So take a listen to Greg Sankey on Paul Feinbaum today.
I was asked on the way out, did you talk about like eliminating Tuesday ranking shows? We really did not. We talked about the schedule of those shows, but we did not talk about whether those exist or not. We had a brief conversation about format, really understanding the timing of decisions that relate to the 2027 season. So by the end of November, I think December 1st is the actual date, we'd have to make a decision if we vary from 12. And last year decided to not vary from the 12-team format. I think those were the two kind of key issues. And, the discussion around bowl games. So there are some differences. It's interesting next year, the opportunity for the one seed to pick its path, the location of its quarterfinal bowl and the location of its semifinal bowl, and then the two seed to have a quarterfinal bowl option and obviously placed in the semifinal bowl. So we talked about those logistical issues. Really good TV success, really good attendance success last year, and how do we continue to build those?
So to me, that was a little interesting. I was surprised Feinbaum didn't jump on that because that was newsy. I had not seen that. We follow this stuff pretty closely, as I mentioned. And then you see Ross Dellinger then, picking that up and tweeting it saying, Greg Sankey mentions here, this is what it's about. So, I was a little surprised that we hadn't heard about that yet, but that's what it seems like, is that the number one seed and the number two seed, after the number one seed picks, will get to choose kind of their own path, basically the venue, right? Like what bowl game do they go to? Like how does that path get laid out? So it'll be with the number one seed picks first, then the number two seed. And then from there on, it gets, 3 and 4, I think is basically, toss up. Maybe they'll pick it out of a hat or something. I don't know. But I do find that pretty interesting. And then the one other thing that he mentioned at the outset was the fact that they're still going to do the show on ESPN, which has been pilloried for 2 years now about how you trot out the college football playoff president who goes out there every week. And right. We've had it year after year, it seems, but the last 2 years especially, it has been kind of a disaster because they end up contradicting themselves. The criteria change week to week. They put criteria on one school that they don't necessarily put on another school. So it's kind of interesting that is going to continue. But hey, the truth of the matter is it makes for good TV and people like us start talking about it. So I was saying that from before. They're not getting rid of that. Anyway, two interesting tidbits, and interested to hear what your thoughts are on those.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think it's especially interesting because they are, yeah, like I like the idea of letting those schools pick where they want to go. Obviously, that gives you a little bit more incentive outside of just getting a bye.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if they were to expand, I mean, who knows what expansion would look like or what the rules surrounding it would be. But, potentially these buys are going away or more of them will be given out. Who knows? But if this is something they want to keep, this, of course, it's a pretty big positive because you're getting if you're Georgia, let's say, for instance, and you have the opportunity to choose, and one of the bowls is, the Peach Bowl. Okay, great. We'll go to Atlanta, obviously. So geographically, travel-wise, it's an advantage. But also, although you're not maybe directly, because I assume they would make them choose this before the playoff kicks off, but you can kind of play the odds here, right? And say, oh, if we choose, next year, let's say the Fiesta Bowl, well, that's the that's the team that we want to play, right? And so if we think matchup one goes how we expect it, we would rather match up with, just throwing out names here, we would rather play Penn State than Ohio State, for example, maybe. Something like that, and you can kind of try to gamify it as like, hey, what's our good matchup here? Because like you said, the 1 and 2 seeds so far in the 12-team playoff era aren't really, other, I guess Indiana made quick work of it and had no trouble. But, 2 years ago, Oregon gets Ohio State in the second round. And it's like, well, if they could have chosen, they would not have gotten Ohio State in the second round,
Right.
And I don't know what Indiana would have done. Signetti probably doesn't care about any of that. But I think it's an interesting idea for sure. In terms of the TV show, yeah, I think they're not getting rid of it. I wish they would. I think it would be it would just be cleaner. But yeah, they won't. I mean, it's a reality TV show. They don't care if they're contradicting themselves. Yeah, they're getting ratings and they're getting people to talk about it. So ESPN specifically, when I say ESPN could not care less that they're contradicting themselves or whoever. They don't care.
Well, and they get, Reese Davis gets to be Mr. 60 Minutes. He's grilling. I love Reese Davis. That's not a slight at Reese Davis. It's just a funny thing. He has asked pointed questions in the past and like called them out on contradictions of like, hold on though. Like, this is, and yeah, we've gotten the awkward moments from the different college football playoff chairs and whatnot. That show's not going away. And so it's interesting you mentioned that, and maybe I misinterpreted it, and I think we just need more clarification and reading. Like this was the first time today that I have heard anything about this, and I don't think it's been mentioned anywhere else unless I missed it, and others can chime in the comments that, I might have missed this. But how I took that was that this is, you basically get to pick, you don't get to pick the team you necessarily get to play. You get to just pick the venue. So it wouldn't have changed, right? Say that Ohio State got Oregon or Oregon got Ohio State when that happened a couple of years ago. Instead, Oregon would have gotten to choose what venue they got to play. What bowl game do they get to play Ohio State in? So
I see. Yeah, I was mixing that up.
That's how I took it, but I don't know. The truth of the matter is, I think it would be very interesting if they did it the way that you were talking about, because you're exactly right. Like, it hasn't shaken out depending on, with the seeding. Like, if I'm, like you said, Oregon is a great example, right? Oregon having to play Ohio State there in the second round. I think when they were they the 1 seed or were they the 2?
They were the 1 seed. Yeah.
The 1 seed that year. So 100%, they would have picked not Ohio State to play in the second round. They would have chosen whoever else was still on the list, who they felt would have been a better matchup, and they would have wanted to play Ohio State probably not even until the championship game if they could have chosen, because first of all, we've already played these guys, right? And second of all, and we beat them. And second of all, why would we play a team twice that we've already beaten when we could play somebody else who doesn't have as much tape on us, who doesn't have, as much knowledge, especially if they're from a different conference, as Ohio State has against us. So I took it as it was the bowl games they're getting to choose. And so I'm interested to see what that actually means, because we need clarification on that as to what does choose your own adventure really mean.
Yeah, no, I think now that you're explaining it, I think you're probably correct in that the matchup would be set. You just get to dictate where it goes, as opposed to we're going to play in, this bowl game, and that's going to anyway. I think you're probably right.
And that still matters. Okay. So just a reminder, as we know, but for those who may not, the bowl games are rotating, right? When you get to, I think it's quarterfinals through semis. Is that right?
Yep.
So they're rotating. Okay. But these bowl games are played in different parts of the country, right? So for instance, if the Peach Bowl one year is being played and you've got Georgia who's going to choose their own adventure as the 1 seed, you are darn right that Georgia's choosing the Peach Bowl, because the Peach Bowl is in the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. It's basically a home game for them, right? Or if you are USC, okay, you're the 1 seed one year, you're going to choose the Rose Bowl, or you're going to choose the Fiesta Bowl, because most of your fans are going to make that trip. They're not going to travel per se. I mean, they would, but less of them are going to travel across country for a game than they are if they're going to travel, couple hundred miles, just a quick plane ride, or just down the street, to the Rose Bowl. So it still matters.
It definitely still matters. I'm interested to see if that, I guess if that happens, because like you said, it was first we'd heard about it kind of this afternoon. Cool. We got a few other topics we want to mention, and I'm looking. The March Madness expansion looks like we didn't actually make a banner for it, so we're going to go just kind of around the horn here with some topics. March Madness expanding from 68, 64 teams to now 76, and I don't think we really need to belabor this too long, but I think it's worth bringing up. Just because this is just kind of another slap in the face, I guess, to the fans, right? We've brought this up specifically as it pertains to college football a lot. And this one, of course, just impacts college basketball. But it's just one of those things, man. You look around and no one is asking for this. Nobody wants this. No. In fact, people are asking for the opposite. Please don't expand. We don't want this. It dumbs down the regular season worse than it already is, which in college basketball is kind of already gone at this point. I mean, the regular season ratings and just interest is pretty low relative to what it was, say 20 years ago.
Yep.
So they've already kind of lost that, and you're going to just keep going down that road. I don't understand it, and it feels yet again like we have another instance of, unfortunately, the people that are making decisions in these, sports, they don't know fans. They aren't fans. And I think I said in the newsletter this morning, they wouldn't know a fan if they got punched in the face by one. Like, they don't care. All it is dollar signs, and nothing else matters.
Yeah, it's frustrating to watch. I feel like doing all this stuff on social media, as we do so often, we have to be on social media for the newsletter, but also just to have fun and, mess around and make memes and stuff. But my mind goes to memes when we talk about this stuff. And I feel like I'm the Walter White meme from Breaking Bad, where he's in the car and he's just like yelling through the window, like, no.
Yeah.
Or, I'm Michael Scott, like, please, God, no, like, no, like, stop. Why are we doing this? And like you said, I mean, I don't think I can name a single person that I saw on Twitter, whether it's, friends of ours in the media, the national media, like fans, just fan accounts, burner accounts for any team, who is asking for this. Not a single person who follows college athletics, who loves college basketball, who loves the NCAA tournament, is asking for this. Just stop. And I understand what are the two, interested parties who are doing this. It's the powers that be in college athletics, whether it's the commissioners or the college presidents or the conferences and CBS TV, whoever might get March Madness in the future, and they just see dollar signs, right? Nobody's asking for this. And also, we already make it. It is easily the highest grossing thing that the NCAA does every single year. It makes billions of dollars. What else? Like, how much more money do you want? At some point, this is like the argument that people make about the massive contracts in the NFL or the MLB or what have you. Shohei Ohtani, at the end of the day, does he even know that he made $280 million versus $230 million? Not really. When you're getting up to numbers like that, and I know it's a business and a lot of it's getting metered out, right? But why? Why? Who is asking for this? Nobody's asking for this. What are we doing? Nobody cares. We're sick of it. And it's like you said, this is another slap in the face. At some point, really, the wringing out of fans, okay, over the last 10 years has not stopped. It's only accelerated. It is continuing to accelerate. And at some point, the dam is going to break and people are going to be done. This is no longer what we love. I'm being wrung out to dry for every single streaming platform. Every, season tickets get reneged because they want more NIL dollars and they're trying to do all these different things. And just every single time you go, it's like going to Uncle Sam. It's the tax man, basically, right? And people are going to get sick of it. So I hate it. I don't like the move at all. It's the same arguments that we make against the college football playoff expansion. Everybody's like, hey, sit tight at 12. We like it. It's been good. People had their disagreements one way or the other, but we're at 12 now. Let's see how it works. So far, we've liked it. Why do we need to expand it? Enough is enough. No one is asking for it. In fact, we're asking for the opposite. Just stop.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I echo everything you said. It's just, it's one of those things like ultimately, I like March Madness. I'm still going to fill out my bracket and watch some games, but I'm not going to lie. This is not football for me, right? So I'm already, my interest levels, not super high, but this kind of knocks it down a peg, I guess. Especially let's just tease this out for those early games, like the added inventory that they are getting and providing for CBS and whatever, True TV, whatever TV network they farm these out to, I couldn't care less, man. Like, you're telling me I get to watch the 76th team play whoever, the 73rd team. Like, I don't watch the playing games to begin with. I'll watch when the field of 64 is set. I don't watch the playing games unless A&M's playing in it, because I don't consider it part of the tournament.
Nobody has.
Yeah.
Since they instituted that, nobody has. And now they're saying we need to add even more.
Right.
Stop.
So I'm just like, I'm not, am I going to watch some of the tournament? Yeah. I'm not going to black it out because of this, but I'm not watching these early, I'm just not the example to use one from this year was Auburn, who was left close to getting in, first four out, whatever, this and that. Man, I did not need to see Auburn play an NCAA tournament game, guys. And they would have gotten in this year. I don't have any interest in that at all. Neither does anybody else, for that matter. Like we said, because no one's asking for it. So, yeah, it just stinks. It just stinks. And I hope at some point the powers that be quit, what's the saying? Cutting off their nose to spite their face. Because they're doing it to themselves and no one's asking for it. No one's pushing for it. No one that cares is pushing for it. And it's just a shame to see, because whether it's football or basketball, at least at this point, they just, like you said, they just keep wringing it out and they keep dumbing it down and they keep doing things that no one's asking for. And sooner or later, the chickens are going to come home to roost, and it's not going to be good. And for me, we're getting darn close.
I know. I agree. I'm with you. It will take so much. I've said this before for college football to lose me, right? I'm dyed in the wool, and I have been basically since I was born. So going to be hard to lose me. But they are pushing at every side, not just college football. We're getting that on all sides in college football. We're getting it in college basketball. I mean, every side you turn, which way you turn, we're getting pushed, and people are getting real sick of it. So yeah, there's that. But I had something else I was going to say, but I kind of forget what it was. So I think we can move on.
Cool. Well, I had two other things I wanted to touch on. Go ahead.
Okay, just quickly, and then we can go on. I just saw the golfing I was looking at. So, this is why this is a problem, both in the college football playoff and in the March Madness, the basketball tournament. Okay, this is an age-old adage. All right, you talked about it. Nose to spite your face. Another one is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're trying to fix things that are not broken. And I look at something that has been extraordinarily successful over a long period of time and only seems to get better and grow every single year. And that's something that we just saw and we just watched, the Masters.
Yeah.
The Masters thinks of one thing, right, each year. How can we make this tournament the best tournament that we've ever had and do the things that we do best every single year? And it's KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't changed the prices in many years, which makes it beloved. They make sure that everything is pristine when it comes to the course. They make sure that they try to have the best players possible in that tournament. And they really haven't changed. Like, the format hasn't changed ever. I mean, since Bobby Jones. Maybe they've changed a couple things with it. They tweak things. They tweak things with the broadcast. They tweak things with the menu. But overall, it's generally the same experience. And you know what has happened? The ratings just go up and up and up and up, and the interest in the Masters grows, and their brand has only become stronger. So that's the last thing I want to say on it, is the NCAA tournament is something that can be like that. Yeah. It should be like that. Double down on what works. Don't do these wholesale changes and with something that is not broken.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a great example of an entity, a brand that has doubled down on what works and has bought into the true principle of scarcity, in that we don't need to, just keep expanding into perpetuity. Like, there's something to be said for a little bit of scarcity. And people in all the sports world would be wise to, look at that a little closer as a case study. Two other topics I wanted to hit on, and then we can touch on anything else. There maybe was like a private equity thing we wanted to chat about, but real quick, I did want to hit on the NFL draft. I brought it up a little bit at the outset of the show. I won't use any of those weird Gen Z terms anymore, but I do think it's worth calling out. SEC sets a record 87 draft picks overall, breaking their previous record from last season of 79. Big Ten did lead the way in the first round with 10 first-rounders to the SEC 7, which I feel like kind of tracks, right? It's the Big Ten maybe had a couple teams better than some of the SEC teams this year. Like, Big Ten was top-heavy with some very, very elite teams. SEC was more spread out, was kind of the vibe or the consensus, and that sort of played out with this, right? You got more high-end talent coming out of the Big Ten, at least according to the NFL, and then the depth and the breadth, the depth of the SEC wins out pretty convincingly with 87 draft picks, again breaking their own record. The Big Ten had 68, so 19 more players drafted in a league that has 2 less programs in it than the Big Ten, who sits there at 18, while the SEC is only at 16 teams. The only other thing I wanted to make a comment on, and I'll turn it over to you if you had any thoughts, is we say this a lot. We're not alone. A lot of people say this, and if you say something like this during the season, you get flagged with SEC bias or Big Ten bias or whatever you, power conference, whatever you get flagged for. But the ACC and the Big 12 combined or not combined, but both individually had 38 total draft picks. I just don't know how many years in a row we need to keep kind of pointing this out that, man, top to bottom, the level of football that those conferences are playing is vastly different than the SEC and the Big Ten. And I don't think that's a good thing, for the record, even though I'm SEC homer. I don't think that's a good thing, but this is why when it comes to the college football playoff, SEC teams, Big Ten teams, they're getting the benefit of the doubt. This is why all those metrics, strength of schedule, strength of record, are slanted to these two leagues because, man, it's just not there. And I don't know what the answer is, but I mean, you're getting the SEC had 49. Is my math correct on that? 39 more draft picks than those leagues? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, and to take it a step further, and we've talked about this before, we've talked about it on SEC After Dark, G5, G6.
Oh, they're gone.
We're
hollowed
talking
out.
about exactly. Like it's hollowed out. And so we're talking about, you're talking about two completely different levels of football when it comes to the Big Ten and the SEC. And then sure, there's a couple teams, right, in those conferences, the ACC, the Big 12, that can compete. We get it. But, on the whole, not really the same level of football anymore. And so that's kind of why, I mean, the last 2 weeks, 2 out of 3 weeks, we talked about our Super League, because that's why there is this talk, is because it has just really done this, in the last, the last 5 years, and especially as NIL has come into play. And so it really still feels like that. Just looking at the data, look at the draft picks, look at the money, look at like all of it. It feels like that's just kind of where we're going. And then when you even go even further down to that, to the G6, it's like, again, and I've been a proponent of this. Yeah, I've said it here and elsewhere. I'm not really in for the whole G6 thing in the playoff. Okay. We've got 2 years of data on it. We've got Boise, we've got JMU and Tulane. They're just getting their boat rocked. Okay. Like it's a bye for the team who is from the Big Ten or the SEC or even the upper echelon of the Big 12. But really the Big Ten and the SEC, it's kind of a bye week. It's a tune-up game before you go to the quarterfinals. So what are we really doing? Like that should go to a 9-3 Texas team from last year, a 10-2 Vanderbilt team from last year, a 9-3 South Carolina from 2 years ago. All right. In my opinion, I even think, those teams that I just mentioned, they would have boat raced JMU. They would have boat raced Boise State. I know it sucks. It's not 2006 anymore, though. Boise State's not beating Oklahoma. JMU is not beating 9-3 South Carolina. I don't think it happens. Once in a blue moon, okay? 1 out of 50 maybe, all right? Is that worth it to have them in the playoffs? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's fair. And to bring up your point, this is a good tweet from Max Olson of not just of the G5. So this is a G6 now. This is a great tweet from Max Olson. Quote, another sign of the times and the impact of the transfer portal plus NIL. G6 players selected in the 2026 NFL draft, 14. G6 to P4 transfers selected in the 2026 NFL draft, 39.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I don't love that for the G6 programs to find a diamond in the rough, develop him, and then ship him off to a P4 school for a year so that he gets drafted. I don't like that. But it's reality. And you said the data's not lying here, guys. Like 14 players drafted across all these teams. That is crazy.
I mean, a couple hundred picks. What is it? 100 and something picks?
Oh yeah, several, like 300 something picks, I think, and or 200. Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah.
But again, and that's not let me be clear here. This is not slander or me trying to shame the G6 coaches or even players, because like I said, 39 of them got drafted when they started in the G6, and most of those guys probably left for a year, max 2. So like, they're finding the right guys. They just can't keep them because the system that's in play anymore. So to your point, when that comes to, it's a lot more likely that a Boise State or a Tulane or a JMU could actually compete on the field with some of these teams in the playoff if they could keep their players, but they can't, right? And so, yeah, I just think it's worth looking at all this again and seeing the trends over time, because they don't lie, and they show the hollowing out of the G6 and kind of the hollowing out of the ACC and the Big 12. And I know that NFL draft picks is not the end all be all, because Indiana, I believe, only had 8, right? There were teams that had more draft picks than Indiana. Clearly, Indiana was the best team this past season. So there's a whole lot more that goes into it than NFL draft picks. However, it's a very good litmus test of talent, and the talent disparity is growing. And until there's change, that's not going to stop. So whether that's a super league or whatever they do, or they limit the transfer to one-time transfer, in a 5-year eligibility window, whatever happens, unless there's change, that's going to continue to widen. The SEC will continue to have more draft picks. The Big Ten will continue to have more draft picks. The G6, the ACC, and the Big 12 will continue to have less.
That's why we need relegation.
There you go. That's why you and me need to be the college football commissioners. I know that's
right.
Kind of Josh Pate's thing, and I don't think we've ever broached that here. He could be our vice president.
VP. Yeah.
But after our Super League discussion,
we're also running Josh Pate.
Yeah. After our Super League discussion, I feel qualified to throw our hats in the ring.
Yeah.
A joint ticket, Biscuits and SEC 2028. I don't know.
2 versus 1. I'd love to see who Josh Pate's running mate is going to be. If it's Cole Kubelik, we got a little trouble. But I still like our chances. So
yeah, I mean, well, look, hey, if we end up losing out, I would take a cabinet position in their leadership. So
well, and there's a lot of Josh Pate. He doesn't even get hazard pay for all the crazy stuff he's doing, over chasing tornadoes and on a train. So if you're Cole Kubelik, his vice president, you got to be ready at all times. Here, much safer ticket. I don't ride trains. I don't train hop.
I don't train hop or storm chase.
Yeah, cool hobbies, by the way. But I don't partake. I don't skydive.
Neither do I. Yeah, neither do I. Well, we're coming up on an hour. I got one more thing to touch on, and then we'll get to our closing segments. SEC baseball, though, I did want to touch on this. So last weekend, man, another great weekend with some big time series. Sort of chalky, a little bit, although Tennessee took 2 of 3 from Alabama, which was big for them. We talked about them last week and how Tennessee was kind of, coming back down to earth after the Vitello era. So good to see them take 2 out of 3 at home from a surging Alabama team. LSU swept again. I put in the newsletter. LSU's been swept 3 consecutive weekends for the first time ever. They have never lost 9 conference games in a row, or at least 3-3-3. So again, it's worth bringing up because it's LSU and they're the defending champs. But of course, I mean, it's not like Jay Johnson's in danger of losing his job or anything. It's eye-opening to see. I saw somebody tweet this out that they were just like, if you are the team who's following up an LSU title team, just forget it. Like, you're just going to suck. And nobody can explain why, because you're just, we've seen this from them where they get all the way to the mountaintop and somehow the next season they just forget how to play whatever sport they're supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
Well, and then otherwise, I was going to say, just to highlight, A&M and Georgia keep keep rolling. So Georgia takes 2 of 3 from Ole Miss in Oxford. A&M takes 2 of 3 from Florida in Gainesville, and they sit atop your SEC standings right here with Georgia leading the way 15-6 and A&M at 14-6. Yeah. Any comments on baseball or what you saw this weekend?
Well, I will say I love SEC baseball. I love college baseball, but I have been paying a lot more attention to it this year, even more so than I have in past years. Just been really enjoying it. College baseball is growing. I love that there are so many more games televised right now, and you can watch just all sorts of SEC baseball if you want to, and it's on SEC Network. It's on ESPN2 a lot, right? So even if you don't have the plus package, you can still watch a lot of it, which has been a lot of fun. I will say one thing, to go back to the LSU series here. It's wild what's happening in Baton Rouge. I mean, we watched them win a national title last year. They've got, an incredible program there, and to see them just having a very down year after winning a national title is a big surprise. But also wanted to mention here, Mississippi State, they had their little lull there. They went back-to-back series where they got swept. They got swept by Georgia, then got swept by Tennessee. And so they had a dip. They went from the top 5, I think, to like number 18 or something. But they're back on track. All right. So in the last 2 series, I believe they swept. So they swept LSU here this weekend, and then they swept South Carolina last weekend. Sorry, Mike Huseman, to remind everybody of that. But so Mississippi State catch a little more fire, looking like they're rounding the corner here. Big series to watch out for this weekend in Austin. Mississippi State is heading to Austin to play Texas, and Texas top 5 in the country. Very good baseball team. They got had a slight lull there when they got swept, went 2-0 to A&M, but they're back number 4 in the country, playing good baseball. Mississippi State, 2 straight series now where they've gotten a sweep after their little lull. So I'm really looking forward to that series in College Station. And then looking at the standings here, like you said, Georgia just continues to roll. A&M is rolling as well. A&M, one of the hottest teams in the country right now, which for us has been really fun to see. And then, man, in the middle there, it's just the SEC. Everybody just beating the crap out of each other in the middle. And we'll see who ends up coming out on top. But I got to expect a lot of these teams to end up inside the NCAA tournament, even though, some of these teams are having a tougher year. But Vanderbilt, Tennessee, kind of fighting for their lives. They're right there on the cut line of being in or out. So, I mean, and that's what we're talking about. That's how deep the SEC is. 10-11 Vanderbilt, 10-11 Tennessee still have a real good shot if they can play some good baseball here at the end of the year to get into the NCAA tournament. And, obviously they're not going to host or anything like that, but you're still likely to get a good amount of SEC teams into the tournament, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely looking at double digits teams that'll make it, and maybe even up to kind of 13-ish. So I did want to clarify. So Mississippi State heads to Austin. Auburn heads to A&M. So both the Texas schools, huge series this weekend.
Yeah.
Auburn, after their series win, who did they I'm drawing a blank.
They off last week?
No, okay, there we go.
They are Oklahoma.
Yeah, they took 2 or 3 from Oklahoma. They climbed back inside the top 10. So that'll be a top 10 matchup. Actually, both of those. Mississippi State, I think, is now 9, and Auburn is 8. So the series in College Station will be top 10, and the series in Austin will be top 10.
I might have to buy Disney Plus just so I can get SEC Network for this weekend. I mean, I would love to watch all 6 of those games in both those series.
Yeah, and I did want to say too, I don't know if any of our hometown friends are watching. From Charlottesville, big UVA baseball fans, look back at this series, the LSU Mississippi State series this weekend. Mississippi State came back in all 3 games. I think they were trailing in the 6th inning or later in every single one, and they came back. UVA baseball is awesome. They're still good. Brian O'Connor built a great program. Davenport Field is a great atmosphere. look at the dude this weekend, and it's a no-brainer why the guy left. And I mean that as no disrespect. Just look at the dude this weekend, and that's every weekend they're showing up like that. Yes, LSU is a big series. Well, LSU stinks this year, and the place was still packed to the gills because it's just that is what it is in Sarkville. And the dude was rocking. I mean, I can't remember his name, but when that
the homer
freshman, when he hits the grand slam to tie the game, I mean, the place is going nuts.
Crazy.
They've got light show. They've got the LED light show going on. I mean, again, Davenport Field is a great place to watch a college baseball game. It ain't that.
There are awesome venues all across the SEC to watch a baseball game, but Duty Noble Field, I think it's the best venue in college baseball. Which, again, that's why I think Brian O'Connor, after around 20 years at UVA, building the program from nothing to a national champion and a perennial College World Series contender, like, you know what? I think I want to do a challenge. And there's only a couple programs that I would listen to. Mississippi State's one of them because you got Duty Noble Field, and it's the best environment in college baseball, and you see that on TV. It's awesome. And no disrespect either to our alma mater. I think A&M has an incredible atmosphere at Olsen Field. You see it every time, ball 5, they got all the chants. They are raucous and rowdy, and they do affect the game at Olsen Field. But Duty Noble, I don't think there's a comparison in college baseball.
No. The A&M's problem is we need to blow up the railroad tracks and expand because that's the thing. The dude, man, they've got those grilling tailgate areas, the suites out the outfield. It's better than anywhere else at this point.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's great environments all over the SEC. There's in the ACC, Big 12, but the dude kind of stands alone. And I felt that when I was watching the highlights of that series. I was like, this is why a guy who's been somewhere for 20 years, been to College World Series, won a national title, leaves because you can't replicate this anywhere else. So. Shout out to Mississippi State. Well, that's pretty much it. I think we've got one or two. I don't know. Did we get a Leach Coach of the Week here? I think you had.
No, we didn't get a Leach Coach of the Week. I don't think. We're still kind of in a bit of a lull for those. I mean, we can find some and scrounge some. If you guys do see any nominees on social media you feel like should be the Leach Coach of the Week, whether they're coming from college baseball, MLB right now, or what have you, we're always open to it. So, let us know. It's if you watch the show, if you're new here to Biscuits SEC, we're paying homage to Coach Mike Leach, the Pirate. We absolutely love Coach Leach. And even though he was always a hater of A&M, didn't matter. He was a lovable Pirate and one of the funniest guys in college football, but his passion for college football, the way that he coached players, all that, we think that he exemplified. Hall of Fame coach Mike Leach exemplified what it means to be a college football coach, what it means to love college football. So we like to honor a coach every week in his honor. And so this week we didn't have one, though. We're in a lull. I think we'll get some more. We've got some press conferences. We've also got college baseball getting to the stretch run that tends to elicit some folks that might have some emotional responses to the press one way or the other. So I'm sure we'll have some in coming weeks, but this week didn't have one.
Yep. So let's close it out with the biscuit of the week, like the Mike Leach Coach of the Week. We do this every week, assuming we have a biscuit and have time, but we're pretty good about this. So expect it if you're new around here and you tune in again next week that we'll have a biscuit of the week as Maple sounds off in her approval of the biscuit. But we love biscuits, obviously. Biscuits in SEC, the number one podcast for people who love biscuits in the SEC. It's quite a crossover. And so we feature a biscuit here every week. We love them. We love the South. We love Southern cuisine, culture, etc. So like to give these type of places shout outs if we can. And you put this one together. It looks awesome. So I'm excited to hear about it. Take it over.
All right. So this one, speaking of Austin, as we're talking about the Mississippi State versus Texas Longhorns baseball series that is coming up this weekend. If you are going to be in town, all right, Boss Man, or tonight, Larry the Cable Guy, Boss Man, I'm in Austin. I live here in Austin. And so if you're coming to Austin for the series from out of town, or if you're an Austinite or, a Texas Longhorn and you don't know about Cisco's, I think you live under a rock. But if you are a Bulldog and you're coming into town, I highly recommend Cisco's. It has been around for a very long time. I think since the 60s, maybe, or maybe even earlier than that. I mean, it's had everybody and your mom has eaten there. It's one of the more famous Tex-Mex places in Austin. Not as famous as like a Matt's El Rancho or anything like that. And it's a little bit smaller than a place like that, but it's on the east side of Austin, on East 6th Street, and right up the road from the White Horse Saloon, one of my favorite spots, great spot to go and two-step, get a beer, Old Texas honky tonk, but it is right there up the road from that. And surprise, surprise, they actually have some of the best biscuits in Austin. And that is not a joke. I mean, look at those pictures right there. The picture on the right there is from Google that I just found because I wanted to get their biscuits in a, just a basket of them in a picture, but in a better one than my picture. But I mean, look at those. Those look absolutely perfect. Like as good as your grandmother can make in the oven at home, your grandmother's homemade biscuit recipe, that looks like Cisco's biscuits right there. And when they brought them out to the table, I was like, my goodness, these look incredible. You can also kind of see on the left there is my picture. You can see like the grill marks on the top if you look closely. So they bake these to a perfect golden crispy, and then they cut them in half and they put them on the grill, and you can see these grill marks. And so it's just this little touch that they add at the end that makes them that much better and an Austin staple because, as I said, it's a Tex-Mex place. That's what it's famous for. But if you read a little bit deeper and if you look into it a little bit more, super well known for their biscuits. So to close it out there, that is mine on the left there, as I mentioned. And that taco, I love to get a chorizo, egg, and cheese when I go out to a Tex-Mex spot. If I'm going to get a breakfast taco, I'm going to get a sausage, egg, and cheese, maybe a bacon, egg, and cheese. But if they've got chorizo, egg, and cheese, I'm getting a chorizo, egg, and cheese. It's kind of how I judge a taco spot. They had a great chorizo, egg, and cheese, some good salsa. On the right there, on the bottom right, is biscuits and gravy. So I got some biscuits and gravy to try that. Darn good stuff. And then the biscuits were otherworldly, fantastic. I'm saying, man, I might give them like a 9-1, 8-9 on the biscuit scale because they were that darn good.
That's awesome. I have never been to Cisco's despite living in Austin for 5 years. I'm now, I may regretting that looking at these pictures, but then even just looking at their menu, I have not. I'm trying to think. It's been about 4 years actually since I lived in Texas. Again, showing my age here as I've moved around and felt like I was in Texas for a long time, but it's been four long years since I even lived there. And gosh, I miss Tex-Mex. This menu looks insane. Even just their breakfast tacos. I'm looking at all of them thinking, oh man, like I don't have that. And that is a shame because this place looks awesome. Not just for breakfast, their breakfast tacos, but of course the biscuits and even the Tex-Mex dinner plates. I'm jealous. It is hard to beat the cuisine in Texas, whether it's barbecue or Tex-Mex or biscuits, obviously.
Well, and this is one of those ones too. The Tex-Mex at Cisco, everything they do is fantastic. All right, the biscuits, the Tex-Mex, all of it. But the thing that's interesting about it to me is that it's one of those hidden gems with the biscuits, right? All right, it's famous for the Tex-Mex. That's great. I think they've got like some pancakes dishes and stuff like that as well for breakfast. If you go for lunch or dinner, great Tex-Mex for sure. But you go there and you're not expecting good biscuits, right? I mean, I'm looking at the menu and I'm thinking tacos. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
I'm thinking tacos. I'm thinking maybe huevos rancheros, some refried beans with it, whatever, right? And then I saw on the menu that they did have biscuits. And then it was like, oh, like, Cisco's famous biscuits. Like, does this really have good biscuits? And I asked the lady, and she's like, oh, yes. Like, no, we're like known for our biscuits. We've got great biscuits. I'm like, really? So, of course, I get them. And I was like, oh, my gosh, she's not kidding. Like, this is a famous spot, but this is a hidden gem, that they have these incredible biscuits. And they have biscuit sandwiches too, by the way. It's not just get a biscuit and slather some butter and some honey or some jelly or anything on it. No. You can get a sausage, egg and cheese biscuit sandwich, bacon, egg and cheese. Like, they take their biscuits and biscuit sandwiches and all of it very seriously, as you can tell in the picture. So I will certainly be going back, not just for the Tex-Mex, but for those biscuits too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, they have a Miga's biscuit on their menu. So if you're looking for the best of both worlds, meaning, kind of Tex-Mex breakfast with Southern breakfast, get a Miga's biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That place looks great. Well, next time I come down to visit you, it looks like we got a place to go because, haven't been there and it looks like I'm missing out.
Definitely.
Good stuff. Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We got over 100 of y'all in here, which is great for a random Wednesday night at the end of April with only college baseball and softball even left happening at the moment. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We're here every Wednesday. We'll be here every Wednesday until the season starts. And then hopefully, we've got some fun stuff coming up as far as content leading into the season. May have some good stuff going on, potentially, bump it up to 2 shows. We shall see when the season gets here. We've got some plans. We're hoping to have a big year in 2026. So if you like what we're doing, we'd love to bring you along for the ride. So appreciate, following us on social media, liking the video, subscribing to our YouTube, and signing up for our newsletter with the link below as we, just really try to gear up for a big season. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. Enjoy it and just trying to grow. So anything y'all can do to help us is much appreciated. And just like tuning in as you have tonight. So appreciate it. We will be back here next Wednesday. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the big baseball series this weekend. And Lord willing, we'll see you next week. Appreciate y'all.
See you tomorrow night, SEC After Dark, every Thursday.
True. We will be back tomorrow night for SEC After Dark. Appreciate y'all.